Hi everybody, it's Scarlet Pete here. I thought I'd do a video with you today talking about some of the essential machinery that we use, and some of it that we don't use enough, on the farm. Now this is our hay Acrobat. This is what we use to line up and roll up the fodder, the hay, before we turn it into bales. This is really useful, but with lucerne we don't actually use it very much because it will knock the leaves off the lucerne. So lucerne we'll just cut and bale using the rows that we've created with cutting it. This was found in a scrap heap somewhere. We've got two of them and we made one out of it, as you do. The way it works is as it's pulled forwards, the wheels then go round and round and comb the field and put the hay into lines. Do you know, maybe I should have started with this one. This is our hay cutter. Now it's a drum cutter, drum mower, and at the moment it's not got its safety guard on or its skirts because it's going to have a big revamp shortly. It has these drums here, and these spin round what almost looks like a spaceship, a UFO shaped thing, and in 4 or 5 places all the way around it has some cutting knives. Let's see if we can find some. Now these are not stuck, they flop around so that if you were to hit something it doesn't do damage, they knock back under there. And they're in a sandwich. There's a hole here where they live, and underneath there's another piece of metal. So they're sandwiched between the two discs. And that's the cutting edge there. You have to make sure you grease these well. They need greasing at least once a season in the drums, because if you imagine how much spinning around they're having. And it also has a large piece of metal that fits across the top, and it has a skirt that goes around, so that if anything is hit, it's not spat up at the tractor or you. It hits the curtainage and falls down into the field. This is a Far drum mower. Now this was found somewhere on a hill. Like all of our items, they're found in scrapyards or thrown away on hillsides, and the farmers sell them us for scrap. And we take time to put them back together and use them. This has also got its cover missing. The PTO shaft needs a cover on. So as I say, this is a winter project. Here's another of our projects. This is a back actor digging thing that fits onto the back end of the tractor. Now it is no substitute for a digger, but it's a lot handier than a spade. When we got it, none of the hydraulics worked. It didn't have this seat on, so my husband built a seat so you could sit above it. It didn't have this console working, so he's built that and made it work. But it still needs a bit of work on it and a bit of TLC. So another winter project. But that's going to help us dig out the foundations to the house, to extend the property, and well, we'll see what else we get up to with it, won't we, sis? Sissy! The next item we have here is this Pottinger, what is it called? It's sort of a harvesting device. I can't remember the proper word for it now. Forage harvester. It has this shape here. So the forage will go in along here as you drive with the tractor. It hits that, knocks it down. There's its teeth that open up. So we would have in here, say we're doing sweet corn or maize. It goes into there and it's pushed through, fed into this spinning around disc that has a self-sharpening device on this one. The disc's under here. And it cuts and chops. And then out through here, the swan neck, it blows up the chopped forage. So you could either use it as a whole crop thing, so you would chop the whole crop up and you then would make a silage from it, or you could use it after you've harvested and you just want to cut down everything and chop it up and use it as a mulch or as a bedding or as a silage again. We find it really useful. We don't use it often, but when we do use it, it's very useful. I'm using it more for things like mulching branches from the trees. This is our favourite, most useful thing. This is our disc harrow. Instead of cutting and turning the land, this sort of cuts up the grass, cuts up the weeds. Because it's offset, it will cut up in different angles and it leaves you with a very fine tilth, which is then on our land anyhow, I will add, because we're sandy. Then we have these rollers here that flatten it out. So it can go quite deep It cuts quite deep, but it doesn't actually invert or turn the land. Now, from a permaculture point of view, that's really useful for us because the bacteria that live on the top of the soil and in the middle and at the bottom all need to stay at those levels. So we've gardened and grown our fields here and encouraged the growth of the bacteria, the yeasts, the fungus at all the different levels. So we hardly want to go along with a plough, turn them all over and massacre them. So this is why we would use this after the pigs have been on the field. We wouldn't really use it at any other time. It's more after the pigs. And if we want to flatten an area for, well, we're going to be doing some lawns over there, so we'll use it for that. This one's not a very wide one. The narrower they are, the cheaper they are. But the more passes you would need to do with your tractor. So you've got to get that happy medium where the farmers are going to sell it cheap enough because they've gone up to bigger tractors that can tow bigger machines. So we've got a small to medium size one, which isn't too bad to use. Is it, sis? Now this is our Cedar, which is almost redundant these days. You put the seed in the top and you have the holes that go down. It turns around and lets the seed out into these little straws that go down into the ground that have a cutting knife. This is the cutting knife that slices through the ground, and it has a hole here, so the seed goes drop down through, and then because this is in the ground and cut a hole, that actually puts it deep into the soil. And behind we've got like a rake action there. Now this one's been modified. Well, it wouldn't be us if it wasn't modified or fixed. What we've done here is added these sections all the way along. So if we want to do a mixed planting crop with rows, we can put beans, peas, wheat, whatever the seed is. Then it goes through these holes and down those shoots. They don't come like this, but this is just our madness. This was this year's project. This is a Kohler Rivale Junior. This is our baler. It makes more like wads, not huge bales, large wads that are bound together with the bale string. It's ample for us. It's been a mistake having it in one way because after using it, we realised how much manpower you need to pick up all the bales off that field, carry and then stack over there on the cover. And they need covering. If we'd have kept our round baler, the round bales can be packed really tightly, strung tightly. They're large, they can be used with the tractor, moved easily with the tractor, and they can be just driven around and dropped where you want. Now if you don't have a tractor, you need this, but if you didn't have a tractor, you wouldn't have this. So there you go. This is an Austrian piece of machinery, and we love it at the moment, but we will not be keeping it. It will be sold, and we'll be getting a round baler again. This is a bag mucker, or a fertiliser spinner. Now, on our land, this is redundant. It's only been used once, and what we used it for was to spin out onto the field the ash. We collect all the ash from winter time, put the ash in, and it will fertilise the soil with the ash, spreading it. We can also use it for grass seeding, so we won't get rid of it, and it's quite a small one. You can get smaller, you can get a lot bigger, but it was given away to us by a farmer who was disgusted at its uselessness because it was such a small one and it wouldn't take a whole bag of fertilisers. So we got it for free and we repaired it, and we'll use it sometimes. Here's our other Acrobat. This is another invention from my husband. This is a back bucket, which he's added onto it the frame that holds it, the 3-point linkage, and a tipping action, so he can tip and scrape and pick up. Now my idea to add to this is a loose box, a link box, so this will have a box and sides on it as well that will sit into the bottom of the bucket. Here we've got a few spare parts. This is something my husband made. It has a bale spike on it, and it's a lifting thing. This hinges out, has the spike on, and it lifts bales. It's really useful. The next video I'll do is about the other machinery on the farm, because this one's coming to the end. Thanks ever so much for watching. I hope you found it interesting. Please like, share and subscribe. Go on. Give me a comment. Let me know you're there. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.